Dear students, in this module of environmental chemistry, we will discuss about the soil pollution. Soil is an important component of the Earth's ecosystem. We can define soil pollution as an undesirable change in physical, chemical, and biological characteristics of the soil. This pollution is harmful for plant growth and all other living organisms. The soil pollution is different from air and water pollution, as here the pollutants are remaining in direct contact with soil for a relatively long time. The main cause of soil pollution is rapid industrialization, urbanization, and the consequent increase in population. In this module, we will discuss different sources of soil pollution, that is, natural and anthropogenic sources. In natural sources, we have different natural processes causing soil pollution, such as soil erosion, land degradation, land sliding, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and floods. On the other hand, orthopogenic sources include the man-made chemicals that cause soil contamination, as they cause alteration in the natural soil environment. Basically, the industrial or agricultural waste disposal, accidental oil spills, and acid rain come under the category of anthropogenic sources. Here we will also talk about the effects of soil pollution, as it can affect the human health, plant growth, and decrease the fertility of soil. There are many prevention and control measures that are under consideration to control the current rate of pollution. Industries have been given regulations for the disposal of hazardous waste, which aims at minimizing the area that becomes polluted. As we all know, there are many elements present in the soil. They are termed as soil nutrients. When the crops are harvested, a large amount of macronutrients and a small amount of micronutrients are removed with the crops. Therefore, fertilizers are used to return these nutrients to soil. Fertilizers basically contaminate soil with impurities and result in degradation of soil quality, alter the biology of water bodies, and cause climate changes across the globe affecting human health. These facts are alarming, and a serious step needs to be taken as soon as possible to avoid more severe consequences. The use of fertilizers for growth and cultivation is fulfilling our needs for now, but then if things keep on progressing the way they are, it won't take long to see the times when there is lack of food, water, and health. Therefore, we will also be discussing the prevention and control methods to keep the soil healthy. In this module, we will also discuss the role of pesticides. Pesticides are basically chemicals or biological agents used to control, repel, attract, or kill pests. Here we will discuss their effect on soil fertility. Let us study this in detail with the help of graphics and visuals.
Good soil is not just dirt, it is a hive of life. Much of it is either microscopic or even disgusting to urbanize because urbanities don't understand the need for the growth and decay of slimy things to sustain life. Good farmers are not just people who dig in the dirt, they are the stewards of healthy soil. Yes, this is absolutely true that with the rise of concrete buildings and roads, one part of the earth that we rarely see is the soil. We have given many different names to it, such as dirt, mud, and ground. However, soil is certainly very significant to us. The plants that feed us grow in soil, and keeping it healthy is essential to maintaining a beautiful planet and the complete ecological system. Nevertheless, like all other forms of nature, soil also suffers from pollution. Soil pollution is also an issue of serious concern because it is the soil on which we live and we get our food supply. Long term exposure to soil can affect the genetic makeup of the body, causing congenital illness and chronic health problems that cannot be cured easily. It can sicken the livestock to a considerable extent and cause food poisoning over a long period of time. Most plants are unable to adapt when the chemistry of the soil changes so radically in a short period of time. Fungi and bacteria found in soil that bind it together begin to decline, which creates an additional problem of soil erosion. The fertility slowly diminishes, making land unsuitable for agriculture and any local vegetation to survive. The contaminated soil is then used to produce fruits and vegetables which lack quality of nutrients and may contain some poisonous substances to cause serious health problems in people consuming them. The unpleasant smell causes inconvenience to other people. Apart from that, it could also force other predators to move on other places in search of food. A large number of ways have been suggested to curb the current rate of pollution. Industries have given regulations for the disposal of hazardous waste, which aim at minimizing the area that become polluted. Organic methods of farming are being supported, which do not use chemical based pesticides and fertilizers. Use of plants that can remove the pollutants from the soil is being encouraged. However, the road ahead is quite long, and the prevention of soil pollution will take many more years. In this module, you will learn what is soil pollution and its sources, learn about effect of soil pollution, know about fertilizers and their uses and effects, learn about pesticides, their uses and effects, know how to prevent effects of fertilizers and pesticides. Let us begin this module with learning about soil pollution. It can be defined as undesirable changes in physical, chemical, and biological characteristics of the soil which are harmful for plant growth and all other living organisms. Physical characteristics are mainly the structure, porosity, and water movement and availability. Chemical characteristics include its pH, soluble salts, nutrient holding capacity, and nutrient availability. Biological characteristics are macro and microfauna, microorganism, biological activities, and organic matter present. Now, let us study sources of soil pollution. These can be broadly divided into two groups as natural and anthropogenic sources. Natural sources causing soil pollution include natural processes like soil erosion. It refers to the wearing away of a field's topsoil by the natural physical forces of water and wind, or through forces associated with farming activities such as tillage, land degradation. It is the reduction in the capacity of land to provide ecosystem goods and services. Landsliding. It is a mass movement of soil, rock, or debris that flow down a slope as a result of gravity. Earthquake. It is a geological phenomena which requires extraordinary effort to cope with. Generally, buildings, bridges, dams, factories, communication lines, power plant, drinking water, sewer system, etc. damaged during the earthquakes. Volcanic eruptions. They produce lava, ash, and gases. These debris create new sediments, igneous rock formations, and landforms. Floods, deforestation, agricultural development, temperature extremes, precipitation, including acid rain, and human activities result in floods and cause soil erosion. The anthropogenic sources are those created by humans. Some major sources are industrial activities. Most industries, such as iron ore or coal, are dependent on extracting minerals from the earth. Their byproducts are contaminated and they are not disposed of in a safe manner, due to which soil surface becomes unsuitable for use. Agricultural activities. Chemical utilization has gone up tremendously since technology provided us with modern fertilizers and pesticides. As a result, they seep into the ground after they mix with water and slowly reduce the fertility of the soil. Waste disposal. Every human produces a certain amount of personal waste products by way of urine and feces. Even the sewer system ends at the landfill, where the biological waste pollutes the soil and water. Accidental oil spills. Oil leaks can happen during storage and transport of chemicals. The chemicals present in the fuel deteriorates the quality of the soil and makes them unsuitable for cultivation. Acid rain. It is caused when pollutants present in the air mixes up with the rain and fall back on the ground, leading to change the structure of the soil. Let us now study the effects of soil pollution. Effect on health of humans. Crops and plants grown on polluted soil absorb much of the pollution and then pass these on to us, leading to diseases and may lead to death. Effect on growth of plants. The chemical nature of soil changes, which is not adaptable to most plants, leading to low growth. Decreased soil fertility. The toxic chemicals present in the soil can decrease soil fertility, crop quality, and crop yield. Toxic dust. The emission of toxic and foul gases from landfills pollutes the environment and causes serious effects on the health of some people. Changes in soil structure. The death of many soil organisms, example earthworms in the soil, can lead to an alteration in soil structure. Now, let us study about fertilizers and their uses. As you already know, soil nutrients are important for plant growth and development. Necessary nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, etc. are obtained from the soil. When crops are harvested, a large amount of macronutrients and micronutrients are removed with the crops. If the same crop is grown again, depleted levels of these nutrients can result in decreased yields. The necessary nutrients are returned to the soil through the application of fertilizers. Two types of fertilizers are added to the soil. Organic fertilizers are made from naturally occurring substances and include byproducts or waste remains of the animals. Dead plants and dead animal remains are often used as fertilizers in organic farming. They are naturally chemical rich and contain high amounts of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. A chemical fertilizer is synthetically prepared to include the vital nutrients that are necessary for the plant's growth process. All of them contain the normal NPK requirements and any other nutrients as required. The main difference between the chemical and an organic fertilizer is that the former come out of the lab, organic one comes from the living beings. Farmers use organic fertilizers from plants and animal materials or commercial inorganic fertilizers produced from various minerals to help restore lost plant nutrients. Among several types of organic fertilizer, animal manure, that is, the dung and the urine of cattle, horses, poultry, and other farm animals improve soil structure, add organic nitrogen, and stimulates beneficial soil bacteria and fungi. Other type of organic fertilizer called green manure consists of freshly cut or growing green vegetation plowed into the soil to increase the organic matter and humus available to the next crop. Additionally, compost in other fertilizer that is produced when microorganisms in soil break down organic matter such as leaves, food waste, paper, and food in the presence of oxygen. Many farmers, especially in developed countries, rely on commercial inorganic fertilizers containing active ingredients nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, NPK. These synthetic fertilizers supply consistent amount of precise nutrients to the soil. They act on soil immediately, unlike organic fertilizer that need to break down before absorption. This immediate efficacy is especially beneficial to dying or severely malnutritioned plants. Synthetic fertilizers are easy to use and their effects are almost immediate. Also, they are easily available in gardening stores. But without careful control, these fertilizers, especially the synthetic fertilizers, can run off the land and pollute nearby bodies of water. After studying the benefits of fertilizers, let us now study its disadvantages as a pollutant. First disadvantage is that it degrades the soil quality. The overuse of NPK fertilizers reduce quality and quantity of vegetables and crops grown on soil. It reduces protein and carbohydrate content. These fruits and vegetables are grown on over-fertilized soil and are highly prone to attack by insects and diseases. Overuse of fertilizers also decrease the soil pH and thus decrease soil fertility. Non-biodegradable impurities such as arsenic, lead, and cadmium present in traces of raw materials like rock phosphate mineral along with the mineral get accumulated in soil and thus become an indestructible poison for crops. Using too much of fertilizers in the soil can alter the fertility of soil by increasing the acid levels in the soil. This is why it is recommended to get a soil test done at least once in every 3 years so that one can keep a track whether or not you are using the right amount of fertilizers. The levels of soil pH vary from 0 to 14, wherein 0 is considered to be the most acidic and 14 being the most basic. 7 is considered to be neutral. The ideal soil pH varies from plant to plant and can be altered by bringing in some changes. Bottom line for using too much fertilizers in the soil is that though it may seem to work currently, but there are high chances that you may not use it for the plant yielding in the long run. For healthy soil, both inorganic and organic fertilizers should be used in moderation. Other than that, the soil must be allowed to replenish its nutrients naturally by giving it a break from crop production, and also the fertilizers should be avoided during the rains. Crops such as corn, tobacco, and cotton can deplete nutrients, especially nitrogen, in the topsoil if they are planted on the same land several years in a row. Crop rotation provides one way to reduce these losses. Farmers plant areas or strips with nutrient depleting crops one year. The next year, they plant the same area with legumes whose root nodules add nitrogen to the soil. The second main effect is that it alters the biology of water bodies. Excessive use of fertilizers in the soil also leads to eutrophication. Fertilizers contain substances like nitrates and phosphates that are flooded into lakes and ocean through rains and sewage. These substances prove to become toxic for the aquatic life, thereby increasing the excessive growth of algae in the water bodies and decreasing the levels of oxygen. This leads to a toxic environment and leads to death of fish and other aquatic fauna and flora. Indirectly, it contributes to an imbalance in the food chain as the different kinds of fish in the water bodies tend to be the main food source of various birds and animals in the environment. Thirdly, it affects human health. The nitrogen and other chemical present in fertilizers can also affect the groundwaters and waters that are used for the purpose of drinking. The use of lawn fertilizers and pesticides can cause health risks like blue baby syndrome, cancer, and chronic diseases in humans, especially in children. It has severe climate changes across the globe. Fertilizers consist of substances and chemicals like methane, carbon dioxide, ammonia, and nitrogen, the emission of which has contributed to a great extent in the quality of greenhouse gases present in the environment. This in turn is leading to global warming and weather changes. Now let us learn the prevention and control the adverse effects of fertilizers. These are moderate use of both inorganic and organic fertilizers for healthy soil. Fertilizers must be avoided during rains. Use of green manure allows natural replenishment of soil fertility. Crop rotation reduces the nutrient depletion. Plant leguminous plants which fixes the atmospheric nitrogen in roots. Now, let us study about pesticides and their uses. Pesticides are a general class of chemicals or biological agents used to control, repel, attract, or kill pests. Pests are organisms that include insects, weeds, and other plants, birds, mammals, fish, and microorganisms that compete with humans for food, destroy properties, spread diseases, or are considered a nuisance. Pesticide can consist of synthetic, organic, inorganic compounds, or biological organisms. Organic pesticides contain carbon, while inorganic pesticides contain carbon which can be found only under the form of carbonate or cyanides. These pesticides are derivatives made from arsenic, mercury, fluorine, sulfur, and copper, as well as derivatives made from cyanide. Pesticides can be grouped according to the types of pest they will kill. Insecticides, insect; herbicides, plants; bactericides, bacteria; fungicides, fungi; larvicide, larvae; rodenticides, rodents. Let us now study the effects of pesticides on soil. The main benefit of pesticides is the effectiveness against pests that would otherwise decimate the crops. By controlling pests, they lead to improved crop yield and quality. These high yields result in economic price of crops. Crops can be grown in ecological inappropriate regions where they could not otherwise be reliably grown due to pest attack. They improve public health by killing disease-carrying organisms like mosquitoes, flies, ticks, and rats. Now, let us study about pesticides as pollutants. The remnants of pesticides, being toxic, have adverse effect on biotic and abiotic components of earth. Pesticides reduce the biodiversity of the soil, which lowers the soil quality and deprive organic matter and water retention limit in the soil. Pesticides are toxic to living organisms. Pesticide uses can damage agricultural land by harming beneficial insect species, soil microorganisms, which are responsible for nitrification and nitrogen fixing, thereby excess use of pesticide also kill worms which naturally limit pest pollutions. Animal and human exposure. Pesticides cause short-term impacts such as headaches and nausea to chronic impacts like cancer, reproductive harm, and endocrine disruption. Atmosphere. Since these pesticides are applied through spraying, major percentage of pesticide remain suspended in air and travel in winds. Water. The pesticide on land surface through water flow reaches the water bodies and cause threat to aquatic life.
Let us recapitulate what we have learned in this module. We have discussed soil pollution in detail. Soil pollution is basically an undesirable change in physical, chemical, and biological characteristics of the soil which are harmful for plant growth and all other living organisms. We have also talked about different sources of soil pollution and also the effect of soil pollution as to how this will alter the fertility of the soil and affect human health. We discussed types of fertilizers used to maintain the fertility and its bad impact on soil. Pesticides are also a major pollutant for soil that we have discussed. At the end, we have considered some methods of prevention and control as the pollution in soil is a major issue and we can not afford to ignore it.
An important effect of toxic chemicals in pesticides is bioaccumulation and biomagnification. Persistent pesticides being absorbed on food materials and soil when consumed may accumulate in the bodies of animals and over a period of time increase in concentration, thus leads to the phenomena called bioaccumulation. When an effective animal is eaten by another carnivore, these pesticides are further concentrated in the body of the carnivore. This phenomena of acquiring increasing levels of a substance in the bodies of a higher trophic level organism is known as biomagnification. DDT is a well-known case of biomagnification in ecosystems. Exposure to small quantities of pesticides over several years can cause mutations, produce cancer, etc. To reduce the effects of pesticides, the prevention and control method used is Integrated Pest Management or IPM. This is a method used to control pests in an environmentally responsible manner. By reducing our dependence on pesticides, IPM protects the environment and our health. IPM combines different techniques to prevent pest damage without harming the environment. These are Use of biological pest controls such as pheromones and microbial pesticides, genetic engineering, and methods of interfering with insect breeding. Application of compost yard waste also controls pests. Cultivation practices includes polyculture, that is growing multiple types of plants, crop rotation, planting crops in areas where the pests that damage them do not live, use of natural predators or parasites of the pest. Interfering with insects' reproduction can be accomplished by sterilizing males of the target species and releasing them, so that they mate with females but do not produce offsprings. Another alternative to pesticides is the thermal treatment of soil through steam. Soil steaming kills pests and increases soil health. Alternatives to pesticides are available and include method of cultivation, use of biological pest control, genetic engineering, and methods of interfering with insect breeding. These methods are becoming increasingly popular and often are safer than traditional chemical pesticides. In addition, EPA is registering reduced risk conventional pesticides in increasing numbers. Release of other organisms that fight the pest is another example of an alternative to pesticide use. These organisms can include natural predators or parasites of the pest, biological pesticides based on entomopathogenic fungi, bacteria, and viruses cause disease in the pest species can also be used. In India, traditional pest control methods include using Panchkavya, the mixture of five products. The method has recently experienced resurgence in popularity due to the part of use by the organic farming community. Gulf of Mexico dead zone develops and grows in size each summer in a region of the Gulf receiving Mississippi River runoff, which is attributed to the runoff of water enriched in agriculture fertilizers, especially nitrogen, from the fertile Mississippi River watershed that enables excessive growth of photosynthetic microorganisms in the Gulf. The microbial decay of these organisms results in the depletion of DO hypoxia that kills fish and other animals. In this module, you have studied that soil pollution is the undesirable changes in physical, chemical, and biological characteristics of soil which are harmful for plant growth and all other living organisms. Fertilizers are the chemical, inorganic or synthetic, or natural organic substances added to the soil or land to increase its fertility by providing essential nutrients nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Pesticides are a general class of chemicals or biological agents used to control, repel, attract, or kill pests. Excess use of fertilizers and pesticides have adverse effect on air, water, soil, leading to diseases and death of flora and fauna.